Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this live stream presented by Litepanels. I'm Jon Whitmer, the managing editor of American Cinematographer magazine, and we're here today at the American Society of Cinematographers famed Clubhouse in Hollywood, California, to introduce you to Litepanels' new Gemini fixture. We're going to be joined today by a distinguished panel of guests, but first to give you a bit of an overview of what the Gemini offers, of its capabilities and its feature set, we have a short video for you to enjoy. So let's take a look at that now. I'm thrilled now to be able to introduce our distinguished panelists. We have first Chief Lighting Technician Earl Gilbert, whose name is on the credits of far more movies than I can mention right now, movies that have inspired me and countless other cinema goers. Things like The Graduate, Chinatown, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and my personal favorite, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. We're going to be grilling you in a little bit about what you had to do on those movies and how some of today's technology might have changed your approach. Next, we have cinematographer George Mooradian ASC. George has shot dozens of features as well as such series as According to Jim, Happily Divorced, The Carmichael Show, and you recently had a chance to shoot a short that really put the Gemini through its paces. Yes. So in a little bit, we're going to have the premiere of that short, and we will ask you everything about what you did on that. Great. Next, Christian Epps, Gaffer and lighting designer. You've worked on an array of feature films, things like the Spike Lee projects Clockers and Girl 6. You've worked with cinematographer Bradford Young ASC on things like Selma and Ain't Them Body Saints. And you were able to offer some of your input and insights into the development of the Gemini. So we'll be asking you about that. Last but far from least, Christian Herrera, cinematographer extraordinaire with countless credits on commercials and music videos. You recently wrapped back-to-back features. And you also had a chance to shoot a short film where you were able to take a Gemini out on location and use it in some unique circumstances. So in a little while, we will ask you what you did to that light and where it is today and when we can get it back. So my sincere thanks to all of you for being here. But before we dig into questions for you, I want to invite over Alan from Litepanels. And Alan's going to show us some of the specific capabilities of this fixture.
Hey everyone, thanks. The Gemini is a product that we've been in development for some time now, and we worked with people as our panelists here today to kind of listen to our customers and make the most presentable light that is user-friendly and has all the features and benefits that can really make this an impactful tool on set. So it's a wide panel, as you can tell. It's a 2x1. And we're incorporating daylight, tungsten, and we also have red, green, and blue LEDs. So what that allows us to do is have really great skin tones, and you could have the option to adjust the offset of green. So you can match your existing ambient color temperatures, or you can be really bold and light with a variety of colors, and we'll see what George did with our short film and how he was able to use those colors. We have a lot of different ways to control the light. We have our onboard controls and dials. We have wireless control. We have DMX using the standard 512 protocol. We also have a really smart system where you can save your presets. So if you have a favorite color or intensity that you like to work with and you want to be able to dial that in with just a push of a button, just like your car radio, you can just push it for a second, it saves, and you can recall it really quickly. And if a person that likes to rent lights for their projects, you can save those presets and you can put them in when you rent them the next time. So what we are also really proud of, and our customers have really thanked us for, is incorporating the power supply. So there's no external ballast, which greatly reduces the weight, and it makes it a really truly mobile light. And we're going to talk about more features today with our panelists, because I can go on and on. So thanks. Yeah, we'll listen to all the great work you guys are going to talk about today. So
thank you, Alan. And as Alan said, it's time to steer things toward all of you. And George, congratulations, you're up first. So to begin, can you just tell us a little bit about how the opportunity to shoot this short came about?
Yes, my relationship with Alan and Litepanels goes back many years. In fact, they introduced me to LED lighting professionally for the first time. Alan came to my set, brought probably the original 1x1 light panel, and then the Astra, and I thought that was amazing. I got to play with the bicolor. I used it on everything. Now comes Gemini. They're asking me to use it to shoot with and to test. And I won't even say it's an evolution. To me, it was a revolution of what I could do with it. Everything that Alan just talked about, we did and played with in one day. The versatility, the colors, the control, the lightweightness of it, the portability, battery power, etc. I used and pushed, and in the short amount of time, I think we did quite a bit with it. My crew was quickly up to speed in using it. I would say there's hardly any learning curve for them, and they enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, when we see it, I can talk more about what we did with it.
All right, I think that's probably enough of a tease. And so with that introduction, let's go ahead and take a look now at George's short film. We'll be back in a minute.
To us again. My neighbor is knocking at my door. I keep the deadbolt closed. Media, my enemy, has come this way, weighing on my bones, weighing on my soul. My spirit grows. This day is breaking all my bones. It's tearing at my soul. My spirit grows. Shaken, a ghost was grieved inside. A shackle in our eyes, a jackal in the fire. The stones cry far within, they feel the ages haven't healed.
George, that was incredible work.
Thank you.
Now, we've been talking about the incredible control that this unit offers over its color output.
Yeah.
How important is it to you to really be able to fine-tune that right out of the source when you're working on set, as opposed to, you know, roughing in a look while you're shooting and then hoping that you'll have the opportunity down the line in color
Right.
correction to finesse it?
For me, color accuracy is very, very important because I am color grading on the set live as we're shooting. So it has to be correct, it has to be accurate as we're doing it, and not waiting in post, because as you would say, I'm baking in the look, I'm putting in the color, and I don't want to be dealing with correction green and magenta corrections in post. I'd rather have that done on the set and save the bigger picture in post. As you can see, I love color to tell the story emotionally, to help me with depth, with separation, and this light, I had 4 accessible, so I used 4 Geminis to do this, and I had a lot of cross lighting that I was able to accurately match also, so that the keys for both women, again, I was able to dial that in accurately and not one light be slightly green or slightly magenta. So that was very, very important. Also, we talk about the versatility and the lightweightness. The bathroom scene, I had the light placed on the ground just in front of the actress, and I couldn't have done that with the tungsten light. It was safe, it was cool to touch, so again, that gave me this great up look. Also for the water reflections, I had my electrician hand hold it to move it to catch mirrors in the bathtub and water. That was something normally I couldn't have done with a heavier light. And lastly, there's a fire effect on the person sitting, and it was a very small place to hide the light. I was able to hide it behind the mantle and create rapidly with Wi-Fi capabilities. I mean, really in seconds, the flicker on her face. So again, the compactness, the lightweight, made my cinematography that much more better. And the scene outside with the car, lit that with 2 Geminis, and it was all run battery power, so my crew didn't have to run, I won't say 4-aught, but they didn't have to run cable to the street, and it was our last shot of the night, so that they were really happy about that for the wrap. It was just boom, 2 lights on stands, and we were done for the shoot. Like I said, we had a day to do this, not even a whole day, and we were able to move around and use its capabilities. So I'm very, very happy with the light.
Christian Epps, we mentioned how you had some input during the development stage
Yes.
of the Gemini. From your perspective as a gaffer and as a lighting designer, you know, what were you hoping to see in the final fixture?
So in terms of the controls of it, you know, some of our environments that we work in are walk up manually and just touch the thing, and you need to be able to find your way around the menu, let it not feel like you're reading a manual and, you know, to get your way around. So that's important. But also, I work in the sort of small network, Wi-Fi, local area sort of stuff, and so the Wi-Fi features are good. That you can also hardwire it DMX into the larger system is also good. I do a number of things that are 300, 400 moving lights in a programmer, and that it can fit into all those environments is very important to me. I like to be attached to it in a way that I can be attached across several different platforms that I work in. Mm-hmm. So that's good. And then the color flexibility is important, because as a gaffer, when the DP comes up and says, oh, make it more, you can do that, right? When the director or the producer comes up and says, change it, and you know, we've spent a long time working on a particular image, and then we have to change it at the last minute, we need to be able to remain flexible. Mm-hmm. And so the menu controls, accessibility, the fact that it can be networked a long distance away and you can still tell it, you know, what your instructions are, you know, it's super important.
And with that amount of control, I can imagine sort of getting lost down a rabbit hole of
Yes.
menus or sub-menus. So how accessible is the unit for one of the programmers that you might be
Yes.
working with?
So I'll say this. I can walk up to it and use it, which testifies, because I don't program, but I, as a layman in that particular world of control, I can walk up to it and talk to it like a normal person, and it responds appropriately, and that's always important, because the pressure's on, the guys are staring at you, the clock is burning, and so we don't want to be too deep into a menu that's
Right.
where we get lost.
One of the ideas that we saw raised in that opening videos, the idea that this unit is flicker-free at whatever frame rate. And Christian Herrera, given all of your work in commercials and music videos, how important is that idea to you?
Well, it's great that, I shoot a lot of music videos and commercials, and I use a lot of different frame rates. So being able to work with this light at any frame rate, any shutter angle, and also at any intensity, it really helps to move faster and not really worrying about what kind of lights you will order or what kind of lights it will give you some problems on flickering. So that's really a plus, that you can use those, as well as you're not really using like big source of lights and all the heat and all this that it generates, the tungsten units.
Right. I lost a shot. It's a pain to be limited, and my math is not that good to figure shutter and frame rates and what the light is, or will it flicker or not. And knowing that Gemini is flicker-free at any shutter rate, at any frame rate, at any dimmable position is fantastic. Again, more control. It's going to make my cinematography look better.
And for me, if I order the piece of equipment as a gaffer, I can sleep better knowing that these guys are going to get what they need, as opposed to they're going to find that one combination that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And I ordered that. Yeah, I know.
We'll find it.
Yeah, so I sleep better.
And Christian, we also mentioned the short that you recently shot where you were able to use the Gemini. Can you tell us a bit about some of the specific scenarios where the light really came to your aid?
Right, so I shot this short film here in Los Angeles. It was 4 days of shooting. We were all on location. There are some scenes that we were using, it was very colorful, so we were using all the gels, colors on the light, which it makes super easy to just dial the color that you were looking on the monitor, and not really being worried about bringing all these expendable gels, which it costs money. So that was very fast to use and also very cost efficient. As well as we were shooting on a supermarket, and we have to color match the fluorescent lights that they were on the supermarket, and that was very easy to just color match the Gemini. And the last, we were shooting on the desert, where it really, the lightweight of the light, it's only 22 pounds or 10 kilos. The built-in ballast, it helps to just bring the light on the desert, just bring it with a block battery, forget about cabling and generators, just put it on the block battery, turn it on, and you get images, like this. Like I'm just using one Gemini to bounce on his face some of the light. So it's really an amazing light to work on location.
All right, Earl Gilbert, it's your time. Oh, it's go time. Tell us absolutely everything that you know, starting now.
I'm listening to current day.
So,
I'm an antique here.
No. As much as I want to ask you about every single project that you ever worked on, I'm going to restrain myself and limit the conversation to Close Encounters of the Third Kind You were working with director Steven Spielberg,
I got a timer next to me.
cinematographer Vilmos Zsigmond, and it can be a cliche to say that the light is a character, but it's absolutely true of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And to think that you were working, I mean, about 40 years ago the movie was made. What were the fixtures that you had at your disposal when you were actually shooting Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Well, of course, we're talking about Close Encounters now. The mothership. To take the mothership, it had the ports. The ports had stripped down 9 lights, 3 behind each port with a filter. They're all, everything on the mothership and the whole laboratory was hooked into dimmers. And the arcs had shutters. And on this mothership, for the panel inside where the children come running down the ramp, there was 2,000 foot candle, 2,000 photo floods. There was 2 HMIs, and they're all coming on. And when they opened that, of course, the laboratory is dark down just to amber light. So that when it came out as a jolt, and you saw these kids come running down the ramp. But that involved all that amperage, and then you come into the close-up on people on the laboratory floor. That's where you could use smaller units, bounce light, cover. But the bounce light was the old fill light, was incandescent. Then we had some that we had quartz in. And we had reflectors that I made up with phthalites and cards. Now, the Gemini is an amazing unit because it can control that light, the volume of light that's coming out, and sometimes it gets too much, you want to dim it. With those type of units, I'd have to start hanging things on the front of it. So from 30 years ago, when we're lighting with broad paint brushes, we could not ever have a unit like the Gemini because we didn't have them. It's a controllable light. And to those advantages, I hear all of our gentlemen here, I'm admired. I admire the effects that they get. It's good photography. To tell you about 30 years ago, a lot of times that photography would never be accepted because it was showing natural type lighting. And on the Close Encounters, you have to remember, we were 125 feet up off the floor, lighting with big units, and it had to be all controllable when they have a guy there running it. Nowadays, I mean, I just can't tell you how much this affects me to see the advances that they've made in those 30 years that I've been retired now 20-some years out of the business, and watched all this advancement in the lighting units. I'm impressed. I've always been impressed by lights that being the value that they have to our making a good film. So Close Encounters was you must realize it involved a lot of people working to make it. And the equipment that I used was a lot broader, and it had to be what you'd call a big paintbrush. I can't even imagine working with the controllable lights like they are here. I'm just amazed sometimes. Well, I haven't had a hand grip on my arm, so I'm doing within the time limit.
You're actually just about to get it, but don't go anywhere because I want you to stay right here so I can keep asking you questions after the live stream is over.
I wish you would.
Again, our sincere thanks to everybody who's tuned in.
What the heck?
The Gemini is available for a list price of $4,400 from Litepanels Distributor Network, and you can find those distributors on litepanels.com. Earl, George, Christian, and Christian, thank you all so much for being here today and sharing your insights. Thank you to the American Society of Cinematographers for opening the doors of its clubhouse for this event. And stay tuned. We do still have some behind-the-scenes footage that we'll leave you with. But for the time being, for my distinguished guests, for Light Panels, I'm Jon Whitmer. Thank you, and goodbye from Hollywood.
Hello, I'm George Mooradian ASC, cinematographer here in Northridge, California. Getting ready to use the new light panel light called Gemini.
And man, what a great light has been all day today. It's super lightweight, super versatile. It's got all these values you can preset inside of it. It's so just changing the scene is by the push of a button.
Super versatile. We will save a lot of time in the future when we want to change gels, change colors. We'll just quick as flipping a switch.
The Gemini is a pretty cool light. It's very light, very flexible. We were able to shoot really fast.
It can run off battery if you need it to, and that's just a completely game changer. You know, we can go anywhere we want with this bright of a light with just a battery, and that's a game changer. And it helped us out a lot today when we were moving through quick guerrilla setups, and we're gonna really love using it in the industry.
Reflecting back on the day, first time using this Gemini light, very, very impressed.